Roundtable. I'm Codi. Welcome our guest, Newcastle High School basketball coach Ralph Blunder. Ralph, congratulations on another terrific season, 27-3. I know two tough losses in championship games, 60-58 loss to Laurel Highlands, and then the state championship game against nationally ranked number 12 USA, Imhotep Charter, a 54-39 loss there. And that's where I want to start our discussion, Ralph. You've been outspoken, and so have many other coaches, about the non-boundary schools. Only 2 public schools won championships out of the 12 title games. So what are your thoughts on what, if anything, can be done, Ralph?
Well, I don't know that there can be or there can't be. I think that the PIA has taken a position that they can't based on legislation, and that may be true. You know, I know there was a push made 3 years ago, and I was a part of it, and I said then, you know, anything short of separate tournaments, it won't be a productive change. So they went with this success formula, and it's just not a productive change. You know, truthfully, it only hurts schools like Newcastle and Farrell and Aliquippa. The private schools, when they move up, they didn't change anything. You know, I've said before, you know, when a single A school like Kennedy Catholic, you know, and all credit to them, can move up to 6A and win a 6A championship, well, then that tells you everything you need to know. When it comes to non-boundary schools, enrollment doesn't mean anything. Whether you're 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, 5A, 6A, if you don't have any boundaries, you're going to have the best players. And that gives those schools a fundamental advantage over other schools. And that's just obvious to me. You know, we'll play how they tell us to play. I'm just pointing out what is clearly obvious.
But Imhotep's won 8 championships, and since 2009, they only lose 3 players. Who knows who else will be moving in there? And Aliquippa coach Nick Blackovich said Philly is free agency.
Well, you know, I don't. You know, my position is not to accuse anyone of recruiting, not to accuse anyone of anything inappropriate. The only thing that I could objectively point out is that it is clear, you know, based on the data, that the non-boundary schools have a huge advantage over the boundary schools. And, you know, and I told Bob that in a conversation. He said it was sour grapes. You know, I've taken this position for 4 years. You know, he mentioned you know, coaching adjustments and other, you know, boundary schools being, you know, better coached. And, you know, he certainly has a right to say that, you know, if he wants to. I don't know that a person in that position.
Other coaches.
Well, I just don't know that a person of that position, you know, I sit in some high as an assistant principal. There's some things I can't say and shouldn't say as a professional. You know, we're going to be criticized or questioned to some degree, and as long as the people who do it are doing it in a diplomatic way, which I felt like I did, then I think there's all kind of ways you can answer that, but not that way, you know, in my opinion.
Rob Lombardi also said that the criticism of the Philly schools is unwarranted and misplaced. What's your take on that?
It's not a criticism of the Philly schools, and again, I think people, no matter who's arguing it, they all kind of focus on the wrong thing. It's not a criticism of the Philly schools. They're not doing anything wrong. You know, they're just doing what they're permitted to do. They don't have boundaries, many of them, not all of them, but many of them don't have boundaries. And I don't think anyone is acknowledging what a huge advantage it is. You know, when 13% of the schools are non-boundary and are winning 75 and 80% of the championships, then that in and of itself should tell you enough. And that's what I told Bob. You know, he said he didn't agree with me. And I said, Bob, unfortunately for you, is that the data doesn't support your disagreement, but it supports ours. And, you know, it's clear, you know, as a principal, if I have data like that, I need to act on it, or at least attempt to make change. And from my perspective, as the head of the PIA, I don't think you could just sit there and subjectively say, I don't agree with it without any data to support it. And I told him, I said, if you surveyed your membership, it's my position, and I believe that you'd be really surprised at the results you get, even from the non-boundary schools. Okay? This isn't sour grapes. This is just reality. You know, let us do the same thing. You know, we don't have any boundaries and anyone can play for us and all the other stuff, we'll go do it, and I think we'll do just fine.
District 12 Chairman Michael Hawkins said that District 12 teams are staying in the state playoffs. He said people don't realize the many disadvantages that they're at. They don't often have gyms to practice in, and so on and so forth, and traveling problems. Are you buying this as a sympathetic chord for the District 12 teams?
Well, I don't think anyone's asking them not to be here to stay. And again, I think everybody from the highest level to the lowest level missed a point. Nobody's asking them to go anywhere. The part of the state of
at the end, the PIAA wants nothing to do with potential lawsuits that might come about. If in Tennessee, they did separate the private schools from the public schools. That, as you mentioned before, is rooted in Pennsylvania legislation. So that would take a lot of change. I don't know that the PIAA has a stomach for that.
Well, I don't know that they do or don't, but I do think that even as with the existing legislation, it's up for interpretation as to whether or not they have to participate in the PIA or whether they are required to participate in the PIA as long as they are giving a section or parochial school or non-boundary school type championship. And he asked me, he says, well, how do you make the change? I said, it's real simple. He says, I said, if you are a school district with a publicly elected school board, and then you play in a certain classification. And if you don't have a publicly elected school board, you play in a different class. I think that you'll find just by simply doing that. But again, the legislation would have to, the way I interpret it, I don't think they even if they got sued, from my interpretation, I don't think there's anything to stand on as long as they give them an opportunity to participate in the PIA, which they would be doing. And like I said, other states do it because it's the right thing to do. It's the common thing to do. But and from my perspective, I think Bob is the guy who, if he feels like legislation needs to be changed, then he should be the guy who spearheads it. Based on the data he has, he ought to be able to see that change is necessary.
Ralph, I'm hearing some talk, and some coaches and athletic directors have said that as a form of protest, they'll just forfeit these games to the non-boundary schools. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm not going there, and anyone else that wants to go there can. I mean, sometimes when you have a movement, it has to be aggressive. But I'm not ever telling them. And my kids, this is from an adult's
perspective. Your kids, they'll play anyone.
Right. And I'm not looking at them and saying, guys, we're not going to go play this team. I mean, they're not taking that. And I get that. That may be a little bit too radical. You would like for reasonable adults to look at the data, see what it is, and make the necessary change, and honestly, like, I'm tired of hearing people say, toughen up, play who they tell you to and all this other stuff. Well, my answer to them is, well, you toughen up and do what we have to do. Take a kid in the third grade, work them every year, develop them, and hope that they become the player that you're hoping that they can become. Okay. That's tough. That's hard. Okay. When you need a player and you just being able to go get a player, or anybody can come in and play for you without being challenged, that's easy. And that's the point I think that everyone does. And not the people making those comments are the ones who don't understand what the argument is. The argument is simply non-boundary schools have a fundamental advantage over boundary schools, period.
Ralph, I think you make some cogent points there. You're taking a very mature look at this whole situation. I really don't know what the answer is, except to go through the legislature if there's any type of resolution to modify this at all. Yeah. Once again, thanks for coming on. And hey, here's a suggestion I have, Ralph. Let's get the Newcastle Butler basketball and football games back on a slate. And great 80-year history of a rivalry that's ended. It shouldn't end. It should be renewed.
No, I agree with that. Actually, again, like, we're going to move up to 6A next year. I mean, we're going to graduate 140 kids, and we're going to be 6A next year because we won one WPL championship, lost in another, and lost in the state final. And that moves us up.
Will you be in Butler section?
We'll be in Butler section is my guess. I mean, anytime we've played in the highest classification for the last, 60 years, Newcastle and Butler have been in the same classification. So, Matt's a good friend of mine. Tons of respect for their program. And if indeed that's where we end up with our, smaller school, then that's where we'll play.
All right, Ralph. Hey, thanks a lot. Congratulations again on a great year. Talk to you again soon.
Okay. Take care, man.
I'll be right back with Ellen George.
I'm Matthew Kramer, Music Director of the Butler County Symphony. I'm here to invite you to this weekend's season finale. And what a season it's been. On Sunday, April 10th at 3 o'clock, we have an exciting collaboration with our friends from the Butler Musical Theater Guild. We present Frank Lesser's classic Guys and Dolls. When it premiered in 1950, it ran for over 200 performances. It's one of the great American Broadway musicals, and we present it in concert. The orchestra on stage with the actors and singers out front. An incredible way to enjoy this American classic and also to wrap up what has been a wonderful season for the Butler County Symphony. We hope you can join us this Sunday, April 10th at 3 o'clock at the Intermediate High School.
Level up your internet. Zoom Extreme from Armstrong gives you unlimited data at our fastest speeds available. That means unlimited gaming, unlimited streaming, and unlimited downloading with no fear of overage charges, delivered on our super reliable fiber optic network. But that's not all. Zoom's enhanced Wi-Fi provides complete coverage throughout your home to the devices that need it most, and it gets better each day. Take advantage of the best value in broadband. Zoom Extreme from Armstrong. The future is faster. The future is now.
I'm back, joined to my right by the Swami George Abraham, to my left by the Tiger Albert Campman. Nice interview with Ralph Blundo. Took a very mature look at what's happening with just 2 out of the public schools winning championships out of the 12 that were there. He doesn't have a solid answer, but it's an issue that's not going to go away.
I think the key to what you said is my problem. I don't have an answer either.
I don't know.
That's the problem. A lot of times you can question a million things, but you should have something in place to change it. I don't have an idea, because I guarantee you that the lawsuits are coming if behind it.
And that's what I said to Ralph. I said, I don't think the PIAA has a stomach for the legal battle that would look ahead for them.
No, they're classic bullies. If you'll accept their punishment and accept their nonsense, they'll hammer you. If you fight back, they back down. That's the interesting part.
And I think it bothered Ralph and a lot of coaches what Barty said about you need to coach
Better game plan.
Better game plan.
Better
But,
adjustment.
just like
I'd
I
like
said
to
to
see
Ralph,
him adjust.
I said you lost the Imhotep. They're the number 12 team in the USA. They only lose 3 players. Who knows who else is coming in? They've won 8 championships since 2009. I don't see any end to
Oh,
it.
the one guy played for Roman last year.
There's never an end to that.
Yeah.
Eddie.
Well, Lakovich, Alakouba's
Never end.
coach, called it Philadelphia free agency.
Yeah, there's never an end to it. That's the truth.
And once again, let's say this. We've all said this. Are they doing anything wrong?
No, that's what we said.
No.
That's why there's no answer.
And not, like I said to Ralph, I said I hear some ADs and coaches say they may, as a protest, forfeit these games. He said, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to tell my kids to do that. I said, I know your kids will play them. And we finished by Newcastle's coming into 6A. They'll be playing Butler, NA, and Pine Richland next year. I'm excited about that. It's great to have them around. We're doing one of those games on TV.
That'll be a nice crowd.
All right, let's move on to Spotlight and Honors. Seneca Valley Athletic Director Heather Lewis. She was named the 2022 Region 4 Athletic Director of the Year by the Pennsylvania State Athletic Directors Association. Region 4 includes the WPIL and a Pittsburgh City League. BC3's Aslan Pry, she was named All-American by the National Junior Collegiate Athletic Association for Division III basketball. Pry was the Division III leader in rebounds, 19.6 per game, and the 4th leading scorer, 23.2 points per game. And I want to make a correction. Honors last week, I mistakenly said that Butler Eagles Girls Basketball Coach of the Year was Chris Andraci of Corn City, when I should have said of Knock High School. My apologies.
Doing a
to
great
him.
job. I hear good stuff about both those guys.
Yeah.
Doing a nice job.
Yes.
I have a question, because I really, because this is a show I got. How can an AD be named AD of the year? Tell me what they do to be named. That means their teams must be good. I had 5 ADs or 4 ADs in my place.
I don't know.
It never changed.
It
never changed.
I don't know what the criteria is.
Yeah.
It's a good question.
I mean,
I don't know what the leadership level and what they include.
But how do they know?
I don't know who votes on
I
it.
just said I really like to know that. Like, who votes on AD of the year?
I don't know.
You ever been to the cherry blossom parade or anything? You never been to a dance recital?
That's why they have
They all-
That's amazing
the-
too.
the what, the-
That there's
the
an
high school-
AD of the year.
high school, the prom
And guess
queen
what?
and
And guess
king.
what? Next year it's some other dude.
My guess would be that Seneca Valley did really well in a lot of sports.
Oh yeah.
They had a fantastic
That's what I'm
year.
saying. So that's how you get the award. So if your teams are good, you get
Well,
the
yeah,
award.
I guess that's right.
Bob Bizzuto should win it every year.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, if they went by that, well, Bizzuto just keeps mounting the trophies up.
Let's move on to our stories of the week. March Madness, the women's championship, South Carolina 64, UConn 49. The second title for Coach Dawn Staley for the Gamecocks in the last 5 years. That power forward up front, 6'5", a layup, Boston. She had 11 points, 16 rebounds. It is too much for you. Did UConn get a rebound?
I won't call her a man because I'll get in trouble. I don't know what the proper terminology is. Beast. She's a beast
Oh,
in there.
man.
She's
Came from the
terrific.
Virgin Islands, and she's so different.
Powerful.
You know that they knew in the Virgin Islands. I watched a great piece on her that she was the greatest athlete to come out of there since Tim Duncan, and they have her on her mom as my high school jersey. That's how great she was in high school, and she just came here and just dominated.
She's the AP Player of the Year.
Yeah, just a dominant player. I mean, that's why they
They
win.
had no answer. I mean,
Did you see what she did against Louisville? 23
Oh, yeah.
points, 18
No,
rebounds. So in the two games, she had 34 rebounds.
I watched every second of those
Yeah.
games. And let's talk about this. Al and I were mentioning this. This is the first time I can remember where you knew Gino had no chance, and he
knew
coached.
it.
Well, that's
I think he knew
his
it.
body language.
His body did tell it.
He
You
should
see him
coach.
doing the first time out, but his answer.
What did he wait for?
Yeah.
He didn't wait for a timeout.
Destiny Henderson of also had 26
She,
points.
well, she guarded the other one.
she had a career high.
She guarded Beckers.
Yeah, she faced
Beckers
guarded,
was held
right?
to 14
Yeah, I tell
points.
you, something made me happy. Al and I used to work real hard, especially with the girls, getting somewhere on the fewest amount of dribble. Girl knocked the ball away at half court out. Two big ones and us laid it in.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah, they can-
Okay.
Yeah, Dawn Staley's put together a powerful program. Funny, she's also from Philadelphia, like
yeah.
Ariana.
Great recruiter.
Oh,
You know, and
get that
everybody keeps forgetting that part of the game. Why you win?
You
And
get that
they
one
think,
dominant
They think
player.
it's X and O's, and
No, no X
it's
and
who gets the players. She landed as Virgin Islands kid. I'm guaranteeing she had a connection there to somebody she's coached or played with that called
Right.
her. That called her on the phone and said, "Hey, listen, there's a girl down here in 8th grade."
is she the most dominant player since Brittany Griner? Six
Big
9?
inside she is.
Probably.
Inside, that's what I mean.
Inside she is,
Yeah,
yes.
this young girl with 2 years left at UConn is going to score 40, 50
Page.
tonight.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? There are coaches, they would love for Dawn Staley to get that player as opposed to Gino.
Absolutely.
Oh yes.
Hey, the men's championship game, guys. March Madness, the men, the games, just the semifinal game, North Carolina 81, Duke 77. The pace of that game, it was a great game, great shooting, just tremendous back and forth that was going on between the two teams. And then you get to the championship games, and North Carolina looked like they were going to run away with it and win their 7th title, leading by 15 at the half, 16 there in the second half, and then the storm hit. Kansas came out, fired up, outscored them 47-29 in the second half to win their 4th championship. And this, with them having out-rebounded by North Carolina 47-34.
Yeah, Charles Barkley, usually I laugh at him, but he's the one who made the point. When is Kansas going to start running? And as soon as they did, the game changed immensely. They were playing half-court game, and North Carolina was happy to be part of that. Then Kansas started running forward. But I told George on the way up, it's the I think this is the the worst NCAA champion I've ever seen play. They don't have a pro. They don't have. Usually, like there's 2 pros on every team.
You don't like McCormick, Stances?
No, he'll play, but he'll play as a.
Yeah.
When I say pro, I mean a star pro.
He was strong. His 2 games against.
yeah,
He
he's
got
dominated.
cheated out of MVP.
Yeah.
He should have been MVP.
He should have been MVP.
Sure.
He made the last 4 points
Yeah.
to win the game. Do you know in high school he weighed 320 pounds?
Wow, he did a great job with his
He-
body.
he's trimmed
though.
down
I
to
told
250.
I told Al.
Great job
He's
with
lost
his body.
70.
He got the shoulders,
Oh, he's a big man.
wide shoulders.
I like him in the pros. I think he'll fit in there as a power forward and
Can't shoot it.
Well,
Yeah.
if he scores 10 or 12 a game and gets 10 rebounds.
Yeah, I'd say not a pro. I mean a star pro. I'm talking
right.
about somebody. Usually when you win the NCAA championship, there's somebody leading your team that is
I'll tell you where
going
he could
on.
fit in and play and help a team is like the Lakers, who don't have that kind of power and strength up front, that they could use someone like him. It'll be interesting, but
Shoe Boy's not a certainty. This kid certainly isn't.
yeah, and he was Shoeboy is AP Player of the
Yeah.
Year, the nation's leading rebounder.
Yes, absolutely.
Hard to believe he got away from West Virginia, huh? Does anyone still understand what happened there? Why he got away?
He really didn't want to go there in the first
That was
place.
what we heard.
He didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, but he did not want to go there.
kind of arranged.
Dr. Kolar had him in his
It
house.
was arranged.
Dr. Kolar, he let
It was
him there.
arranged.
He wanted to go to Kentucky in the first place.
Yeah.
And he ended up
Was
where he
Cal
supposed to
one of
be.
them for sure
Yeah.
from the beginning? Remember
Yeah.
when Cal came up?
Yeah, Cal wanted them for sure, yeah.
Now, I still say, the Villanova upset of Georgetown, Raleigh Massimino was the greatest game. But this second half here, what Kansas did coming back, has to rank up there as one of the greatest. And the North Carolina and Duke game. North Carolina beat Duke 3 out of 4 times this year. They got the bragging rights for a long, long time down there.
Two thoughts on that. I thought Duke was the most disappointing team in the tournament. Like, they had the best players. And he's supposed to be the greatest coach ever. So when you got the greatest coach,
not mine,
and
second greatest.
and the best players, you got that.
Yeah.
I think you're supposed to win, and they didn't.
And for North Carolina to beat them
And
3 out of 4.
the second thought, George, knows how I feel about this. The coaching just went out the window in the tournament. Everybody plays the exact same way. It doesn't matter what the score is. They all play the exact same. You could put cookie cutter in and say, does anybody play zone? No. Does anybody play box on one? No. They just play man-to-man. It's an AAU game.
Well, we
It's
saw that,
it's
and
AAU with
Purdue's
talent.
lost to St. Peter's.
It's
we saw
AAU
that.
with talent. That's what it is.
Just so many interesting things that were going on there in these games. Still a great year for the March Madness.
The games were awesome.
What
The
they have,
games were
75,000
games were awesome.
or 80,000?
Yes.
Yeah,
How about where they sit up there? Somebody like
I have no idea.
Like, why would you pay money?
I guess you say,
when
I'm
you can't
watching
even-
big
wait,
money.
They look like ants.
I'm
They
watching,
look like ants.
I'm watching a Laker game the other night. These people are out in the concourse drinking beer and laughing, and the game's going
Well, that's
on.
why they go.
They go to.
They don't go like
socialize.
us. For us to watch.
Yeah, I want to
yes,
see
yes.
the game.
Yes.
Yeah, so much. It'll be interesting to see what happens next year. Over 1,000 players already into the
1,100.
transfer portal, and it just continues to go. That's just the way it is. Coaches move around, the players are
Well, North Carolina and Kansas got there because of the two portals. The one kid from Oklahoma.
Yeah, the
Yes.
redhead. Yeah, he's.
And Remy Martin from Arizona
the-
State.
the-
That's why they won.
the
Both
grad
graduate
students.
Both of them, yes.
Yeah.
Well, we could say this: it's 2 years in a row now that the Big 12 has won, and then
yeah.
the championship. You have to say they must be the best basketball conference in the country.
And I think they are.
Well,
I
West
believe
Virginia
that.
is last.
I believe that.
You got a pretty good conference, right?
I always said ACC always
Yeah.
before.
It was.
Always, but I would say Big 12 at least caught up with them for sure.
Well, and I'm going to mention Hubert Davis. What a great job he did at North Carolina in his first year. Just fantastic.
I'll tell you
job.
why he did a great job, because they were not good in the middle of the year. Remember, he lost to Pitt.
And then you know what? He lost to Pitt, then they won 11 of the next 12 till they lost the championship game. What did Pitt do after they won that game? They lost 5 in a row.
Yeah, coaching is taking a team that's struggling and getting them better. That's what coaching really is. I mean, anybody can just take the best team and go win.
Hey, let's move on. National Hockey League, Colorado Avalanche 3, the Pens 2, and the game, it should have been called the Colorado Lightning. I've never seen a game like that. After the Pens scored to tie the game at 1-1 in the second period, Colorado responded with a goal 22 seconds after. After the Pens scored to make it a 2-2 tie in the third, Colorado, deja vu, as Yogi Berra would say, they scored another goal within 27 seconds. I've never seen anything like that.
I pick Colorado every year and I lose. They skate. They're such a great skating team. McKinnon is so talented. They don't do well in the playoffs. I have no
I
idea what
watched
happens.
that game and one penalty.
Yeah, it was the speed of that game was amazing. And Jason Zucker injured again in a 4-3 win over Minnesota. He missed 37 games. He comes back for one. He's injured again. So Sullivan has to juggle the lines. He put Raquel back on there in place of Zucker, and that's going to change, reverberate down through the other lines. But he has about 11 games to figure these things out and get them ready. I think at some point going into the playoffs, your last 7 or 8 games, you better get those lines gelled.
Yeah, I think he will. That's one thing Sullivan has always done. He's got them ready for the playoffs. It's wide open.
Yeah.
Playoffs are wide open. The Penguins have a great chance if they're playing their best hockey and goaltending holds up.
Well, let's move on to Major League Baseball. Season opens this Thursday. Pirates in St. Louis. Number of wins this year for the Pirates. Last year I said 60. They won 61. I'm saying this year 59. Give me your over and under.
65.
Man, the team they put on that field.
I got Buck fever.
I got
Buck fever.
I don't think they're going to reach 60 either.
Yeah.
I don't know how they can.
Yeah.
How can they with
Yeah.
that team they put on?
Right.
And I'm looking at the team and the pitching. I'm trying to think how they
Pitching.
can.
Here's a trivia question. Name their starting rotation.
Oh my
How about the
God.
last 7 years, 7 different guys? Now you know that's not good.
No, and here's the thing about Brian Reynolds, according to Lindy's baseball. He was the 4th most underpaid player in Major League Baseball last year, and then
And he still is.
and then the Pirates sent down 2 of their best players, O'Neill Cruz and Contreras,
An
the
extra
pitcher,
year.
to extend the
You know that was
arbitration.
coming.
So
I knew that
Extend
was
Albert's misery. That's all they're doing.
and I heard a writer say, well, the Pirates should tank again. They've been tanking for a generation. 25 losing seasons the last 29 years. More number 1 picks you could shake a stick at. And what good has it done them? Absolutely nothing.
Once again, now we've discussed this. If there was no free agency, that would work.
Right.
But there is.
Right. They're going to save them for another team
And
anyway.
that's all. The guys are going to get good, and the bets are going to say, "Here's 10 times what you're making."
Hey,
They're
hey,
fighting Reynolds for $650,000.
Right.
What kind of business is that?
hey guys,
It's a
Major,
business. It's a business. That's what it is. See, that's the problem.
That's right.
Many owners want to win a championship.
man,
The
want to pay
Pirates
for
just
it.
want to
100%.
make money, and
Hey,
they make
If that,
they
was,
make
a
a
nice,
lot of
guys.
if that
money.
was a nice cream stand, he'd be doing a great
Oh,
job.
make a lot of money.
2021 was the year of the whiff. 2,664 more strikeouts than hits. 8.7 strikeouts per game versus 8 hits. The lowest batting average, 244, going back to 67 and 68.
That's because batting average doesn't mean anything.
They don't
Yeah.
use bang.
Yeah, that's what
Fine.
RBIs don't mean
No,
anything
RBI,
either.
no, runs don't matter. No,
Hey,
no.
here's an alarming
gosh.
trend. The average median age of today's Major League Baseball fan is 59.7 years.
Yeah.
In 1995, 10 million kids were playing baseball. Last year, 4.9 million. It's a huge drop-off. It's a major concern for them, and the season's going to get longer because more teams in the playoffs. Hey, that's it for us. We've run out of time. Enjoy opening day, as these two will. See you next week.
Armstrong has a history of being engaged in the areas where we provide service. One of these ways is through breaking bread. Food insecurity affects over 12 million children and 5 million seniors nationwide, putting them at risk for chronic health conditions. We're taking a 4-prong approach to fighting hunger by collecting donations, volunteering time, donating money, and raising awareness. Visit ArmstrongOneWire.com/breakingbread to find a list of community feeding programs in your area.
No one plans for a plumbing emergency. If it happens, turn to the experts at Armstrong Comfort Solutions. Matt Mertz Plumbing is now part of the Armstrong Comfort family. Do you have a leaking pipe, a toilet backing up? When you need a plumber, you want an honest, licensed professional. We're available 24/7. Our plumbing experts can handle any need or emergency, including trenchless sewer replacement. Armstrong Comfort Solutions and Matt Mertz Plumbing, 2 great local companies coming together to better serve Western PA.